Host Aeimee Hazard discussing random topics on health, fashion, music, art, and life, featuring local and national guests. So sit back, listen, relax, or call in here on the Random Affairs Show and let your voice be heard. Share your experiences with me, Aeimee Hazard. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome again to a Random Affairs Show on KQCK Live. And tonight I have a couple of awesome guests with me tonight. They're actually in the medical field, which is really exciting because, as you know, it's always a random topic. And so tonight we have a chiropractor. His name is Dr. Kevin Ross. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please, Dr. Ross.
Well, there you go. My name is Dr. Kevin Ross. I'm a chiropractor in practice in Tempe. Been in practice for about 20 years.
And thank you so much for coming in.
Glad to be here.
And we have Dr. Ann Borick. Dr. Ann Borick is a medical director, and she's also a founder of Sing Cheeto, correct?
Yes. Sign Cheeto.
Sign Cheeto. Thank you for that, Sign Cheeto. And she also has a show here every week on Wednesdays between 1 and 2 o'clock.
Doc Talk Radio.
That's right.
It's the bomb.
It sure is. It's very informative. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. Tonight, we are actually going to start off with Dr. Ross, and he's going to give us a little bit of information about KST. It's a Korin-specific technique. And I came about meeting Dr. Ross a couple of months back, and when I went into his office, it was a very unique way of him actually showing me the current specific technique because, well, one, I've never seen anything like that, and two, I was so set on chiropractors being a certain way, put you on the table, give you a little bit massage with their machine, and crack your back and your neck, and that's not really what you do, Dr. Ross. You do more than that.
That is not KST. That is correct.
Yeah, and it totally blew my mind.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, you went through a series of questions. Please tell us a little bit more about it.
Basically, what KST is it's a health protocol. It's not necessarily a chiropractic technique. I'm a chiropractor that uses it, but there's other professionals, body work folks. There's even lay people that have taken the work and then can check themselves. But KST is just a process of asking yes and no questions of the body and feeling for this physiological response back for it to know what to adjust and what to work on and where to work on it. Sometimes you can adjust by hands, but most of the time it's using an electric adjusting instrument called the arthrostem. It just gives a very fast, very light impulse into the body that the body responds to and makes changes. Wow.
Now it kind of sounds like it sounds like muscle. The muscle technique that most people are accustomed to, is it kind of like that? They ask the yes and no questions, and they do the muscle testing to find out.
Yeah, the thing is with muscle testing, some people can do the yes and no questions and use muscle testing, but a lot of times the muscles will fatigue fairly rapidly.
That's what I've come to notice.
Absolutely. I can with KST, I can go through hundreds of questions incredibly quickly, where if you were trying to do a muscle test in a standard way, it would just fatigue out very quickly. With this, there's a check that's done on the back of the skull, what's called an occipital drop check. And you can do that I worked on one gentleman for almost an hour, just going through a whole series of questions. That was actually quite a interesting experience with this kid.
Wow. And so what do you find out when you're going through the questioning why would somebody want to do something like that?
Well, in the chiropractic world, when they talk about what creates problems, it's physical, chemical, and emotional stress more than what the body can manage.
Right.
Well, most chiropractors, what they're dealing with is mechanical stressors. They're adjusting the spine, but really don't ever look at chemical stressors or, in particular, emotional stressors. In the KST world, you can look at physical, chemical, emotional, spiritual, and be able to address those, any of those interferences. So it's not just limited to, I guess, quote unquote, spinal or structural issues. You can look at chemical. You can look at from bedwetting to oh my gosh, the list goes on and on.
Ear infections.
With those types of things, again, even with the chiropractic world, you don't treat them, but what you're doing is finding out what would be the underlying cause to an issue. So it wouldn't be treating the ear infection, but finding out what the body's reacting to that's creating that environment that we would call an ear infection.
So it's definitely the root of the cause.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And is it difficult because, you know, a lot of times when you're removing those layers off and you get to that core, sometimes the body goes through a shock.
Oh, absolutely.
Does that happen?
A lot. Every, I think, healing art has a different name for it. Healing crisis, those
Right.
types of things. Those can occur. A lot of times in the KST world, it's called retracing, but it's a little bit different. With retracing, the idea is that the body has had a history of things that it's gone through over the years, and then once you start introducing a change process, the body will go back through those processes almost in numerical order. To make those changes. And as you do that, those issues can resurface. If I could use an example of emotional issues,
Okay.
where typically where an emotion, in an emotional environment, whatever that emotion is, you should have the emotional event, there is this process that goes through, then there should be an end event, and then it just kind of parks on a shelf where you go, oh, that was interesting.
Right.
Well, if someone starts interacting with that emotion, like I could have, I should have, if I would have done that different,
Oh,
a lot of
yes.
times those can create a physiological connector to the body.
Right.
Well, once you start addressing where those connectors are, the body may have to rewind back to those emotional events, start back over, like replaying the movie from the beginning, let it go all the way through and get to the end credits, and then park correctly.
So are you actually creating new neural pathways?
Absolutely. Helping the body readjust
Right.
how it's viewing itself and its space in the world.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. And I heard you talking in regards because, you know, you said emotional, you said physical, and you also said spiritual.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really unique because there's not a lot of forms of medicine that actually do all those things. And that's one of the reasons why I love Chinese medicine, because acupuncture does do something like that. Now what I like about your practice is that you also take care of infants.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you can deal with that with an adult, but like on a spiritual level with infants, you don't even think like, wow, what are they dealing with, you know? But of course they're dealing with something.
Yeah.
How is the difference between the two, and how is that working with you?
In my office, 40% of my office is kids, and I love that aspect. I just had a mom that just brought her baby back into the office, and the reason the mom brought the child into my office in the first place, completely a non-chiropractic issue, they were having a difficult time sleeping at night. And so we started going through these KST checks, and it came up with that there was something wrong in the room, the child's room.
Wow.
And it got specific enough that it was something on a shelf in the room that the child wasn't liking. And I asked the mom, I said, is there anything that is new in your baby's room on any of the shelves? And the grandma happened to be there. And she said, no, there's not. And then the grandma said, well, what about great-grandma's, it was whatever, some little
Scary
trick,
clown.
whatever it was. Yeah,
Right.
something they got, because the great grandma died. They got this thing, it was like the only token thing she had, and she set it on
Wow.
the shelf in the room at the baby's room. And as soon as she said, "Is it this thing?" I did this check, and this yes that came back from this baby was like
That is
astronomical.
wild.
Wow.
That's really wild.
Yeah, and so we said, okay, you just need to get that, whatever that is, off of the shelf, out of the room. Well, I haven't seen her for 4 months. She came back and she said, oh, the baby's been doing great. As soon as we took that off, the baby's been sleeping through the night, no problem.
That is just so unbelievable.
I mean, is this supernatural or is
Right.
this medical?
It's medical, but it's physiology. It's just that baby's physiology, for whatever reason, was not liking
The energy.
that thing.
Is that
whatever
what the
it was.
feng shui comes into play? I mean, does that...
I don't know.
Well, everything has energy. Everything is made up of energy. So if the energy vibration is not in accordance to that child or being,
Yeah.
you know, there's going to be some sort of interruption.
If I can give you another example, I had another baby that the mom, brand new baby, cried in the car seat incessantly. Just, I mean, every couple of miles, the mom was stopping, getting the baby out, comforting it, shoving it back in the car seat, driving another couple of miles. She came into my office just frazzled beyond
yeah.
belief. And we started checking this baby, and it went through these checks. Is there a problem with the car seat? No. Is it something different car seat? No. Is there something in the car seat? No. Is there something on the car seat? Yes. Like, okay, because this whole process is just a series of yes and no questions. We get this: is there something on the car seat? Yes. I'm like, oh, so what's on your baby's car seat? And she goes, oh, it's this toy. She flips up the car seat, and I mean, is that the problem? And this massive yes again from this baby. Wow. It said, do you like this toy? No. Get it off the car seat. Yes. I said, so, and I looked at the mom.
And you're talking to the baby here.
It's a
wow. This is so wild.
It's yes and no questions.
Right.
But I look at the mom, and I said, your baby doesn't like this toy that's on the car seat. And then she looks at me, and there's this long pause as she's like looking at me like, are you serious? Like,
but you're really asking by showing the
It's-
thing. I mean,
yeah,
you know, so
yeah, exactly. There's there's yes and no response. So I said, you need to get that out of the car seat. She goes, okay, that's great. She comes back couple weeks later. I can't remember exactly how long it was, and she looks at me and she kind of whispers and looks over both of her shoulders. She goes, it worked.
this is a new show.
Yeah,
Right here.
I'm like, oh, we could talk. I got stories. But I said, why are we whispering? She goes, I don't know. So, but she, a couple weeks later, she comes back. She goes, oh, it didn't work anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, the baby's crying in the car seat again. So we went back through these questions. Is there something on the car seat? Going to the obvious. No. Is there something in the car seat? Yes. It's like, what's in your baby's car seat? Oh, his favorite toy. Again, question back. Is this toy a problem? This massive raging yes from the kid. So we start going, do you want anything in your car seat? No. Is there anything that you need for soothing? No. Get everything out of your car seat? Yes. I looked at the mom and said, get everything out of the car seat. And the baby doesn't want anything. And the baby has not had an issue in the car seat ever again. It's physiology. For whatever reason, this baby's physiology, and it was easy enough to find.
How do you assess the physiology, though? Is it tactile? Is
K-
there stimulate? How does that work?
KST uses what's called an occipital drop check. It's a if you go to the website is tedcornseminars.com. That is where all the information from Ted Cord, and he has videos and those types of things that are
And
on there.
folks, listeners, for those who don't know what an occiput is, occipital is actually behind
the
the
base
head.
of the skull.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the back of the head. But there's a process where there's like a stroking that occurs on the back of the head, and a no response will stay even, a yes response will go low on the left. And so as you go through these processes, you ask a question and there's just stroke. Feeling forward, does it stay even or does it drop low on the left? And that dropping low on the left is this yes. So you can just go through, the protocol. Is there something, a problem above the waist? Yes. Is it cervical thoracic or cervical occiput? Cranial, facial. Oh, it's facial. Is it the maxillary bones? Yes. Is it the left? Is it the right? It's the right. So it's the right maxillary bone, and you can adjust it. And then you go back through once that's adjusted. Is there a problem above the waist, below the waist, anterior, posterior extremity? There's just this whole process that you cycle back through. It's basically like playing 20 questions with the body to figure out what the issue is.
Wow. How long did it take you to learn something like this?
For me, it was instantaneous. I went to the seminar and they showed how to do this occipital drop check. I'm like, okay, I got it. There's chiropractors that have been to 2 seminars and they're still trying to figure out how to feel and what they're doing. For me, for whatever reason, it was pretty straightforward. I'm actually a mentor for Dr. Korn
Awesome.
at his seminars because I'm a regular chiropractor that just totally makes sense, and it's completely opposite of what I ever did in my life before in chiropractic for 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so being a mentor, you didn't say how many years you've been doing this.
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And you just picked it up like that.
It was almost instantaneous. There's some other things, but Dr. Korn's only been teaching the work for about almost 8 years now.
Is this an in the States type of thing that came about, or is it international? Or?
Dr. Korn is here in the United States. He teaches it around the world. Like I said, he teaches primarily to chiropractors, but will teach to really any medical professional. I've had one of my patients as a layperson that went. They loved it so much they wanted to be able to do some self-evaluation on themselves, which you can do. And I will teach patients how to check themselves with this same occipital drop check. But he now teaches it international.
Do you have to have special hands?
I've got a 13-year-old daughter. I came back from the seminar and was telling them, this is what you do. And I said, here, let me show you. And my 13-year-old daughter got on the back of her head doing these checks, and she goes, oh, okay, I got that.
Wow.
So my 13-year-old daughter can actually check people. It's really not difficult as long as you pay attention to it. Just about anyone can learn it.
Right. So it's like the sensitivity of the energy in your hands.
It's literally just the sliding process and feeling a yes and a no response. I
Wow.
mean, I can usually with my patients when I have it, it takes me about a minute and a half to show them, and they feel it. And once they feel it, they go, "Oh, that's it." I'm like, "Yeah, that's it. That's what we're feeling for."
That is so neat.
So, yeah.
That is so neat. That's great. And how have you like faced? Because I mean, it sounds almost like a little voodoo-ish. You know what I mean? It's
Oh.
kind of like,
Yeah, we
it's
get
weird.
that. We get that without a doubt. I point everyone back to the physiology. That the statement I give all my patients is absolutely everything that the human body needs, the human body knows. It has
Right.
to. That's how we stay alive. And this is just a means to get out of the body. And I reference it a lot like a lie detector test, where with a lie detector, they'd hook you up to electronics, and then they'd just ask you yes or no questions, and they measure that, the physiology change on a machine. Well, this, instead of being on a machine, you just feel for it. But it's still a physiological, anatomical thing that occurs. But it does. It freaks people out. They're like, "Oh, that's really weird." And once I can show them on themselves, though, and they feel it on themselves, the weirdness kind of goes away, because all of a sudden they're weird too, because they can feel it as well.
So these changes that are done, are they permanently changed, or is it something that you have to get like touch-ups, or how does that work?
It's as variant as the human body in front of you is. There are people where I have adjusted them one time and they have completely resolved and instantaneously. I had a lady that came in. She was antalgic, bent over with low back pain. We started doing checks on her. One thing came up. I checked her. It came up with this disc thing. We adjusted it. Came up, is there anything else to adjust? No. And I looked at her and said, "Can you do me a favor and try to make yourself hurt?" And you could see it in her eyes, like, "Okay, here it goes." And she went to bent forward, and she bent all the way down, touched her toes, stood
Wow.
up. She looked at me and she goes, "It's gone." Like, that's pretty cool. Now, is that every time? No.
Right.
But in the KST world, that's more common than not,
Wow.
to see these dramatic and very long-lasting changes. But it also depends on someone's lifestyle. Their physical, chemical, emotional stresses that they continue to expose themselves to also matters.
okay.
How their body is also, what other stresses they're being exposed to, and what we're having to address.
Right. Okay. Well, that's important to know.
Yeah.
Imagine that, your lifestyle.
It's amazing.
Yes. And if someone wants to come in and, I mean, obviously it's for an array of a variety of different things, right?
Absolutely. And not traditional chiropractic, quote unquote, chiropractic
Yes.
stuff. It's not low back, especially with babies. Babies
Right.
don't have low back issues, but nursing issues, reflux, some really standard things that people see in kids that they're even doing, Zantac and that kind of stuff in babies, that you can see really pretty dramatic results. We've got a special needs kid that comes into my office. He was having 150, 200 seizures a day. And with KST, the mom sent a picture with him crawling, and he is having maybe 10 to 15 seizures now, and they're very reduced. So for this kid, his life is completely altered through this KST work. So I really, at this point, it's not limited to just standard low back, headache and low back sort of thing. Really, I'll tell anyone, bring it on. We'll check it out, see what your body has to say, and
How
if there's
fun.
nothing I can do, I'll tell you there's nothing I can do.
Right. How fun is that?
Yeah.
That's so amazing to see something like immediate results, because I love getting those immediate results. And nothing better than having somebody leave my space without the pain.
Without a doubt.
Right.
I've been in practice 20 years, and I've been doing KST 2 years, and I have seen more holy cow chiropractic miracle, how did that happen in 2 years, than I saw 18 years combined. And I'm a dang good chiropractor. I mean, I don't, hopefully that doesn't come across wrong, but I mean, I was really good at what I did, but these last 2 years, completely, hands down, I've seen more stuff that's blown my mind.
I have to tell a really quick story here.
Please do.
I had a sciatic problem for about 3 weeks, taking some muscle relaxers and just trying to deal with it. And I just kept re-injuring it constantly, picking something up. And it was awful. And Aeimee says, let me do some, and I hate needles. I mean, I hate needles. Well, I manned up, and Aeimee came out and stuck me with about 300 or 400 of them.
It was actually 5.
Flying needles. They were like this long.
And they were so small.
What I felt about that, they really didn't hurt, to be honest. But the next morning I woke up and she lit, like Steven Seagal. I was sitting there doing my mojo, and she was lighting them. And the next morning, zero pain. I absolutely wanted to discredit this acupuncture because I thought, Aeimee can't be that cool.
Right.
But I mean, it was amazing. It took it away.
The human body is spectacular. What it is capable of, we underestimate it every
It's
single day.
amazing.
Yeah, and I think that every practitioner is different. I think it really comes to listening to the body, and I think that's what really makes a really good practitioner in whatever field you're going to be in. But it's really about feeling the other person's energy and reading their body. Tell me, Dr. Ross, in regards to if somebody wanted to do something like the KST,
Yes.
like myself, I mean, that's why
Absolutely.
I was so interested because I was like, wow, this is really cool. I've never thought about something like this because the muscle testing is like it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much on the people's body, and it's not fun.
And you can't muscle test yourself. With KST, you can check yourself. You can, I check and adjust myself pretty much every day just to make sure that I'm keeping myself in tune, which is
Right.
just, it's a brilliant gift. So
Right.
with something like this, yeah. If you wanted to actually do KST work,
Yeah, how is somebody getting into something like this?
again, the website it's tedcorinseminars.com. It's spelled TEDD. There's two D's at tedcorinseminars.com. If you click on that, there is, I think, another 5 or 6 seminars before the end of the year. A variety of locations.
Cool.
There's one in September, I believe it is, that's going to be over in LA. I'm going to be back there for myself. Just getting more information. But yeah, absolutely anyone, if they want to go onto that website, they can get information where it is and be able to register for a seminar if they wanted to take the work, either if they're a professional to work on other, on folks, or if they're a layperson and interested in finding out just about being able to evaluate themselves. That's also available.
Cool. And Corin is actually spelled Koren.
Correct.
Yes, yes. And tell me about where your office is again.
I'm in Tempe. I'm right at Southern and the 101. It's basically Price and Southern. Pretty easy access from just about anywhere really anywhere in the greater Phoenix area.
Yeah, you're right by the freeway.
I really am.
Yes, you are. Anything else you want to say, Dr. Ross?
Oh, man.
Right before we go to a commercial break.
Exactly, about 4 hours worth. I guess my encouragement would be anyone that's listening to this, if they have given up, either they've tried chiropractic, it failed, quote unquote,
Right.
They have something that's just unusual that they're really just not having any success. I would really strongly encourage anyone, please take a look go on the website. There is a place where you can find a practitioner close to them. Try KST. Give it a shot. It gives the ability for us to really look at something in a completely different picture than what is standard looked at. So please don't overlook it because it may seem like it might be a little bit weird. Step into it. They may be very pleasantly surprised what their body's able to do.
I know. I was surprised when you picked up things on me. I was like, whoa, how does he know this?
Are there clinical trials looking at it right now? Do you know? Like any research or anything?
There is not. The hardest part in the chiropractic world, we don't have a deep pocket to do some of the research. They are at the seminars. They have pulled in a machine called the Neural Infinity, and they've been doing some work with that at the seminars and trying to document some things while they're at the seminars with a group of doctors. But in actual clinical trials right now, if we could get somewhere that would love to sponsor it, I'd go and do the work tomorrow.
Right. That's why integration medicine is really important.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, folks, we're going to come right back from a short commercial break, have a song, and we're going to have Dr. Borak on with us in just a minute.
Are you ready to start taking control of your future and maximize your earning potential? Central Arizona College has smaller class sizes and personalized attention to help you compete in today's tough job market. CAC now serves Santan Valley and Queen Creek. The CAC Santan Center is located in the shops at Copper Basin on Hunt Highway, behind Barrow's Pizza. Stop in and see how taking classes at CAC costs a fraction of a state university, and your credits can transfer. So, if you want to earn real money, you need to learn real skills at Central Arizona College. Enroll in classes today by calling 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu or call 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu. Central Arizona College, your college, your way. Are you having plumbing or septic problems? No worries. Call Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Been in the Valley since 1996. Family owned and operated. Proudly serving East Valley and surrounding areas. With a full range of services from drain cleaning, septic tank pumping, general maintenance and repairs, inspections for the sale of your home. They provide excellent and courteous service for all your plumbing and septic needs. We're not satisfied till you are satisfied. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call today. Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Contact Denise at 480-987-8051. That's 480-987-8051. Hi, Marie here for wannasing.com. Are you looking for professional DJ or karaoke services for your next holiday party or get-together? wannasing.com can provide the best in sound, lighting, and a professional MC to host your next event. Whether it be a company party, birthday party, wedding, or any occasion, wannasing.com is ready to provide the fun and make it a night to remember for years to come. Call 480-664-8801. That's 480-664-8801. Mention this radio ad and receive a special discount for your next fun event. wannasing.com.
Have you heard about the lonesome loser beaten by the Queen of Hearts every time? Have you heard about the lonesome loser? He's a
Are you having plumbing or septic problems? No worries. Call Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Been in the Valley since 1996. Family owned and operated. Proudly serving East Valley and surrounding areas. With a full range of services from drain cleaning, septic tank pumping, general maintenance and repairs, inspections for the sale of your home. They provide excellent and courteous service for all your plumbing and septic needs. We're not satisfied till you are satisfied. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call today. Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Contact Denise at 480-987-8051. That's 480-987-8051.
If your carpets are dirty, grouting out so pretty, couches and love seat look like the kitty, give Riggs Services Carpet, Tile, and Stone Cleaning a call. Riggs Services Carpet, Tile, and Stone Cleaning is a local family-owned company who truly care about the service you receive. They guarantee 100% satisfaction. You deserve it. Contact Riggs Services Carpet, Tile, and Stone Cleaning at 602-492-6355.
Welcome back, everybody, to Random Affairs on KQCKLive.com. And my name's Aeimee. I'm here with Dr. Ross and Dr. Borick. Dr. Borick, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
We have a commonality. We both love martial arts, and it was really cool to be able to see that you doing some of that martial arts on video, and talking about certain things that most medical doctors don't.
Right.
And how did you get involved into something like this?
My background, when I was 8 years old, I started karate. I started karate, Japanese style, and got my black belt when I was 13.
Nice.
And actually, as a high school student, I taught blind children and adults self-defense. And it was just a really, really great experience for me. I think I learned more than they did, honestly. I actually learned a little bit of Braille. We put together a Braille self-defense handbook and so forth. And then time went on. My background in my studies took me through kinesiology, exercise physiology, so my background is in exercise physiology. And then I went on to get my medical degree. So I'm an internal medicine board-certified physician practicing here in the Valley. But about probably, I'm thinking 11, 12 years ago, at the time I was working at the Arizona Heart Hospital, seeing a lot of cardiac patients, and found that stress is huge.
Right.
And how it affects the body. And time again, I would discharge patients and, give them discharge instructions, say, an aspirin and beta blocker and, all the medications and exercise. And by the way, you got to have less stress. But we really didn't give anybody really how do we manage stress in the body. And then around the same time, a family member of mine, my grandmother, had what I thought was a stroke, where it affected speech and it affected movement. And I clearly remember taking the MRI of the brain and literally trying to map and create a program that would integrate all 4 parts of the brain. With my background in the martial arts and a little bit of Tai Chi and Qigong, I found that sign language literally stimulates more than one part of the brain because of the linguistic component, but movement component as well. And I thought, what a great idea. I don't know that anybody has done that. I don't know that anybody has actually taken sign language gesture and stretched it to the point of using it as a tool to get to the depth of the meaning of the word. And so by incorporating music with the sign gesture and the breathing and a lot of the principles that we learn in the martial arts, I came up with this technique. And the technique I called Sign Chi-Do. Sign for sign gesture.
Right.
You don't need to know sign language, by the way.
That's good.
I'm not a sign language person,
Good.
but it's really using the gesture, the universal language, if you will. Chi is energy. Do means the way. Plus, I'm a DO, I'm a doctor of osteopathic medicine. So I said, I got to signature this program.
Nice.
So the technique actually was developed, and I validated it. I thought, if I'm going to do this, and as a medical physician practicing, I got to do some research. We got to find out, does this really work? What I'm telling my patients, is this really? And we did. And we did a couple pilot studies, and interestingly, we found that there was increased blood flow to all 4 parts of the brain.
Beautiful.
There's the frontal, there's the parietal, the occipital, and the temporal. And by integrating music with intention and breath, it really does awaken, increasing serotonin, decreasing dopamine. But I didn't leave it at that because, honestly, there's a lot of wellness programs out there. There's a lot of those kinds of programs. I thought, if I'm going to do this, I want to ground it in a spiritual sense. And so I thought, as a Catholic Christian, I thought, this would be perfect to take scripture or to take, positive affirmation or words that really, feed the body.
Yes.
And that's really what Sign Chi-Do, the art of moving prayer, is. And that's what I've kind of developed on my pastime. When I'm not practicing medicine, this is my other hat, that, if you will, that I like to wear.
Yeah, I love that. And you've been doing this for a while because I know that in 1999 you were actually doing it you've been doing it since then at different medical facilities and so on.
We have. We
Yeah.
started out actually in cardiac rehab. And then actually at the St. Joe's, at the Barrows Parkinson's hospital downtown, we actually launched it was a really great research project. There was a nurse that over at the ASU Nursing School of Nursing took on Sign Chi-Do as her project, 4-year project for her master's in nursing.
Wow, fabulous.
And actually there was a study that came out showing that Sign Chi-Do, the technique of Sign Chi-Do, the breath, the movement, the integrating intention with movement, actually shows the same health benefit that Tai Chi or Qigong or yoga does.
Right.
And so for me, as a medical doc, that's huge because now we can say, well, if Tai Chi does this, Sign Chi-Do can fill that as well and fit that same, that same piece of is physiology, response, if you will.
Yes. And one of the things that I liked about Sign Chi-Do is the affirmations and the prayer part about it because, it's true. A lot of meditations and, they say, well, empty out your mind. Don't think of anything at all. And, in my personal background, again, there's different forms of meditation. And that's why people will do Tai Chi because they can't just, stay blank.
Exactly.
But your form is actually really different where you're supplying and filling up the spirit.
Exactly the opposite.
Yes.
Instead of emptying the mind,
Right.
We intend to fill it with a positive word,
Right.
an affirmation, healthy, happy, holy. I'll show you. We'll go through a little short affirmation just to really allow you to feel it because, until you hear the music, integrate the slow movement with breathing, and then really bring in the sign gesture. it ties it all together. Because what we do is we integrate the muscle intention and make it match what the meaning of the word is.
Right.
It's really a neat technique.
Right.
Yeah. And what you're left with is a sense of health and core strengthening and flexibility. It's pretty cool.
Right. And I learned back a few years ago, I took a kinetic meditation class. And it was interesting to learn that when we do different positions with our hands, it actually creates energy, a different type of energy.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I remember as a child just working with my hands, just feeling them out. And, fortunately now as a healer, I can see that I was preparing myself for that. But a lot of times we don't realize that we are all healers and we have this ability within ourselves to heal ourselves.
To unlock.
Yes.
It's really unlocking the relaxation response in the body. And it starts with the breath.
Exactly.
Oxygen is the most potent vasodilator there is. And so, so many people are shallow breathers. And I think, the first step is to learn how to breathe intentionally.
Right.
Take a deep breath.
Very true.
And then connect that rhythm. There's also an innate rhythm in the body.
Yes.
The rhythm of the breath, the rhythm of the heart, circulation,
Yes.
energy within the body, as you know.
Yes.
And so really just taking it and making it fun, and then what you're left with, the byproduct of that is really a sense of health and wholeness. It really is.
And I like this for the fact that this is really an alternative to a lot of people, especially Christians, who
Absolutely.
don't feel that the Eastern philosophical way of Tai Chi, or Qigong really kind of sets in with them not too well.
Right.
So this is a really nice alternative to that.
That's exactly right. That was literally my intention, to fill that gap. But yet understanding the huge benefit that the Eastern practices have to offer, physiologically from a medical perspective. And I think that's very, very important. I've worked with a lot of Parkinson patients. We've worked with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, migraine headaches. We have now over 130 facilitators.
Wow, that's
We're
great.
in the United States, obviously Canada, New Zealand, Australia, China. It's really a neat program, and I've really kind of put it on the back burner because of my medical practice. So I'm not really facilitating it like I did a few years ago. But it actually has a pulse of its own. It has a sense of its own. A lot of parish nurses and a lot of different people from a faith base really embrace this program, and it's really neat to see.
Yeah, that's true. And it's unfortunate that sometimes we have to tell our patients, you got to breathe. I know I do all the time.
Sometimes we've got to tell ourselves that.
Right.
Let alone our patients. You're busy in the day, and we've got to make sure that we do what we tell our patients to do, and that's important.
When I was in China, it was, and I was working at the hospital there and studying and such, and there's cameras and there's a TV set up, and the TVs actually have educational health things like Tai Chi.
How neat.
Or Qigong, or they teach you how to prepare like foods a certain way and things like that.
Wow.
And I thought about that, and I thought about how wonderful, because I look at the people there and they're so much healthier.
Unbelievable.
They really are. And I think it has to do with the fact that their stress is not as high as ours.
That's right. Chronically.
Right.
Some stress is good.
Right.
It's not all bad, but the chronic level of cortisol in the body is just, it breaks down the body. It's destructive to the body.
For sure. Adrenal fatigue.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, Joe.
Well, we haven't had a lot of calls, but we're getting quality now.
Awesome.
Sarah from Fort Lauderdale says, what do you think of acupuncture? Heard Joe's story, but want to hear it from the doc, Doc Boric specifically. I have constant headaches, PMS, I'm receiving hormone therapy, and my husband has chronic pain.
I'm really glad you called and to ask this question. I personally am not an acupuncture practitioner. I don't know a whole lot about the practice of acupuncture, but on a personal level, tomorrow evening will be my third session in getting acupuncture.
Right on.
And what happens for me is that in the hospital, I'm a hospitalist. And we're very, very busy practicing, running around the hospital. And when we dictate, you oftentimes hold the phone, and, I'm writing, and the phone is on my neck this way. And so I have some chronic spasms in my traps and in my muscles. And I got to tell you, last week was the first time after the acupuncture treatment I woke up with no pain.
Beautiful.
And so,
Wow.
it is. It's I mean, and for me to say that, I don't know if you get that. I really am grounded from a perspective that, and I don't want to say everything is research based, but is validated. But my reputation as a medical board certified physician is on the line. So I'm not going to.
Sure.
I'm not going to validate something unless I've actually personally experienced it or there's research to back it.
Yes.
And because of my fear of needles, I really was under the. I really wasn't thinking it was going to work whatsoever. I wanted to be done. And could you feel things moving around and heating up? And
How they did. I don't know how you did it, but they connected it to an electrode, and so there was some
It was
intermittent.
an electrostimulation.
It was an
Oh, my
electrostimulation.
God.
And then they used the suction. The suction.
Oh
Right, the
yeah,
cups.
the with the fire in them.
No fire. But it was
it's a
just
vacuum.
Just a vacuum.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, it was like the deepest massage, the most comfortable, massage that I've ever had.
Right, and it's deeper than any massage you could ever
It really
have.
is.
Yes.
And Amy's doing the old world stuff, man. She's lighting these cups and sticking them.
No,
on
we're
the
not doing any of that stuff.
I think
yet.
it's to take the hair off now, isn't it?
No, it's not.
So
It's amazing. Wow.
Actually, years ago, when I was over at Chandler Hospital and I was on on the staff there, I wasn't the chief of staff at that hospital, but was part of the medical staff. And we actually certified an acupuncturist to come on staff at the hospital. It was the first hospital in the valley that actually had privileges at a hospital.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so it's really neat. I think things are coming.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I think the integration medicine is really the way to go. I mean, seeing it from the China's perspective,
Right.
and seeing how they're constantly doing research, clinical research all the time.
important.
It really is.
At the hospital now, just talking about San Chido and relaxer sizes, I've actually set aside a 10-minute period of time for the staff.
Beautiful.
For the nurses to come and de-stress. And I got to tell you, we go into a room, I bring in, I'm going to show you this little music device because music in and of itself has the potential to heal.
Yes.
And when I lecture around the country, I always start and I talk about the importance of music. And I ask people, do you agree with what when I say that music has the capacity to heal? And every person that I've ever asked that has agreed with that. And so that's what we do. We kind of dim the lights, take 10 minutes out of the day, bring in either nature sounds, just some nice voice-directed meditation, and then we close with an affirmation. Let me be healthy this day. Let me be happy this day. Let me be holy and connected this day. So it's really neat. I'd love to share it with you.
I'd love that.
So let's just kind of get into, and for those of you watching, why don't you join in? This is just a really neat, short exercise that I guarantee you will begin to decrease cortisol levels and begin to increase serotonin and dopamine in the body. So just put your arms out in front of your body and just slowly breathe in, palms up, breathe out, palms down. It's just a centering, just in preparation. Okay, the first word we're going to learn is healthy. So bring your hands in front of your body and literally imagine that strength were emanating from your center, from the heart. Make a tight, tight, tight fist and just extend the arms out. And then release. Now, what makes this important is the intention leading the movement. Because you can do any calisthenic, but it's when you lead it with the intention of the word. So we're signing the word health as if strength were emanating and then release. And then the next word is happy. And so happy, if you can imagine, is visualizing that your heart is jumping and leaping for joy. And so it's a rolling movement, just like that. And you got to smile. I can see, you can't.
It kind of feels funny.
You can't sign the word happy without smiling, right?
It feels good.
Okay, so that's the sign. Totally different feel than healthy, right?
Yes, definitely.
And the last word is holy. So put one hand out and just come across as if to wipe clean. Very gentle and extend upward. Can you see that movement is just a wiping clean, a cleansing. Now imagine signing the word holy and letting your hand drop down. No way, right?
No.
It doesn't feel right. It's
Right.
not. And if we were to do, the technique, is that right or wrong? I'm sure that it would be, the body knows innately
Right.
what certain words mean, and there's a connection there. So I think that's pretty neat. So let me just give you a little example of what this feels like. Okay, so again, just breathe in and breathe out in preparation as I get the music up. And we're going to sign, let me be healthy this day from sun up to sundown. Okay, now I'll show you how that's going to be. Bring your hands in, let, point back, me, be healthy this day. Tight, 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 and then release from sun up, breathe in to sundown. You guys are awesome. All right, let's just do that, and and you'll see just with the music how it ties it all together. Breath in, breath out. Ready? Release. Breathe in. Breathe out. And just let it dissipate. Very good.
Very nice.
For time purposes, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but then you just repeat it. Let me be happy. Let me be holy. And it really begins to transform stress into a sense of calm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a neat way to do that.
In Qigong, there is a placement in the tongue.
Yes.
Is there anything like that?
Well, in the facilitators program, we talk about, every aspect of physiology, and that is, the facial expression, releasing and relaxing the muscles. The tongue is to be placed just gently behind the teeth and the roof of the mouth.
Okay.
So yes,
Okay.
that's very, very important.
And why is that important? Because I tell my patients that I work with and so on, but please tell the listeners.
Well, I'm not sure that what I'm going to say is in alignment with what you say, but it relaxes the muscles in the mouth, and from my standpoint, it just allows a cleaner, more direct path for breath. I don't know if there's anything else that in the martial arts we kept it there so that you wouldn't bite your tongue. So if you get hit,
That's right.
it's kind of
It's a more
protected.
important aspect.
That's a very important aspect. Is there something else that?
So we know it as that there's the chakras in the front and the chakras in the back, and so it actually helps for them to cycle as a complete circle.
Okay.
So they're connected, and that's the reason.
Interesting. So that's important to know.
Let me
Good.
jump in here. We had a call from Dr. Wong from Los Angeles.
Beautiful.
He's a doctor of iridology, acupuncture,
Oh, yes.
and homeopathic doctor, and he wants to thank you personally for being so open-minded as a medical doctor, and you as well, for being open-minded. And he said it's very rough to penetrate the public
Yes.
to validate our practices. He says, "Thank you, great show."
Thank you, Dr. Wong.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. Tune in to Doc Talk Radio every Wednesday
That's
from 1
right.
to 2. We have a show, so
That's right.
good time to plug my show, right?
That's right.
That's neat. Thank you. Good.
Tell me, Dr. Boric, in regards to some of the clinical research that you found
Yes.
in regards to doing something like this, what have you found?
Well, a lot of it has been in aging. A lot of it has been in the elderly population, where people who are developing kind of Alzheimer's and early dementia.
Yes.
When you learn a new language, if you will, a new gesture with movement and breathing, what has been found is that it really helps to slow that process down. There are 2 studies that are out now. Carol Roger was the primary investigator of the research studies out of ASU, using Science Shido as a modality in helping with the aging process. So those were the 2, and then the other one was in reference to Parkinson's. And it was really interesting, the measurement of the sense of well-being, really measuring spirituality as having meaning and purpose in life, if that was
Yes.
the way we define it. In incorporating Science Shido into their exercise daily over a 12-week period of time, statistically significant findings.
With gait?
With gait, with balance. The get up and go test was one of the measurable and measurable results. Balance was huge.
Yes.
Because the Science Shido technique is really not just done seated.
No.
It's a whole pattern of movement where
Right.
you learn, shifting of the weight and
Right.
moving and connecting. So it's really a neat a neat thing. And then obviously the spirituality portion of it is, is pretty big.
That's one of the things that I saw in China, because at the parks there, you have a lot of the older folks who are doing their qigong, but it's more of a dance type. And so I didn't see a lot of the older folks that were, sick like ours. They were so more acute. They're just keen to things.
There was a study, Aeimee, that just came out literally within the last 48 hours, looking at Tai Chi as the measurable modality, and how they found that arterial flexibility, the flexibility within the arteries, in compared to just regular conventional exercise. They're saying now that sometimes regular conventional weightlifting and strength training could actually
be damaging
to the arterial vasculature, whereas Tai Chi actually increases flexibility, increases blood flow, not only to the brain, but to the skin, to the intestines. The list just goes on and on. So it's really a neat modality.
I have a lot of my martial artists who are more capoeiristas, and they're not necessarily like Tai Chi, but do harder type of martial arts. And I'm really working on focusing them to do more of the cultivation of chi, because this is kind of like what we're talking about right now.
Absolutely.
Is the cultivation of chi.
And in my personal program, there is chi, but really the CHI stands for the symbol of Christ, Christianity, the Chi Rho. And so there's a real built-in time for allowing the Holy Spirit to penetrate and just to be open to, from a prayer standpoint, it's very, very powerful.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really a great modality.
We had one person, and then he put his wife on the phone. Barry from Phoenix. Barry and Cindy, thanks for calling in. How do I get involved with Sign Chi Do? Barry wants to know. And also, where can he get acupuncture? So let's start off with that. This is a multi-part question.
Please, Dr. Bort.
Well, check out signchido.com. That would be the best place to go. Sign, SIGNCHIDO.com. And the website there has all of the information. I have a book out and a series of DVDs, instructional DVDs there. So that's just a place to check it out. And a lot of it is on YouTube, so you can go on and kind of sample it and really get an idea of what it looks like. Right now, there 5 core program is the Healthy, Happy, Holy, that then substitutes other words. Let me be grateful. Let me give thanks. There's just a whole lot of different vocabulary words that you learn. There's the peace prayer.
Is it something you do in home, or is he able to go to a place and do it?
Well, there's different areas around the valley where there's classes. I had probably for years up on Bethany Home, I had a studio there, but right now, I don't have classes personally, other than on occasion we have a series going on at the hospital for our wellness program. But check out the website, because a lot of times that information will be posted on there, and I think that's the best way to go. But the series is, we have the Irish or the Gaelic blessing, we have the peace prayer, we have God Bless America, which is probably one of the most popular in the senior population, because it's familiar. The song is familiar, and it's just a really neat thing.
All right. And then the next question from Cindy, his wife. She is interested in and wants to know, is it important to integrate, she'd like to get chiropractic with acupuncture and the Sign Chi Do? Is it something that just meshes well? Is that why we're all here right now?
Absolutely.
And wants to know how where your office is. And again, you probably need to give your contact info out so she can contact you, or they can contact you as a couple for some acupuncture.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Please, Dr. Ross.
I was going to say, in my office, I think that is something that's vital. That there's, unfortunately, in my profession, so many chiropractors think they're the end-all, be-all, and that's just the way it is. And unfortunately, it's not the way it is. We need to be working with each other and involved in other modalities, without a doubt. My office, personally, I am at Price and Southern. It's 2405 East Southern in Tempe. It's Dr. Kevin, middle initial W. Ross.
Website?
Website, rechargeyourlife.com.
Rechargeyourlife.com.
Yep.
Great.
Neat.
And my website is yourtcmpro.com. And I'm every practitioner is different. Every acupuncturist is different for sure. I consider myself a very traditional Chinese medical practitioner, meaning that, I do a lot of things that most acupuncturists just don't know and just don't do. But I get excellent results, and I think that's really what it's all about.
That's neat.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
Love results.
I'm looking forward to my needles tonight.
Oh, I got the big ones for you to
Oh,
go.
good.
Yes.
funny.
So, Dr. Boric,
Yes.
where can somebody come and see you at any of your places?
Actually, I don't have an outpatient office practice right now.
Okay.
I'm a hospitalist, meaning that I practice and take care of the acute patients that come into the hospital. So we take care of the patients that are admitted into the hospital with pneumonia, heart attack, infections, those kinds of things. I'm the chief of staff at Florence Hospital at Anthem, and Gilbert Hospital, the Gilbert ER Hospital on Power Road is really where I practice.
Oh, super
And
busy.
so, we're actually stepping into, because of the wellness program at the hospital that we've done for the staff, that has just taken off. And we're right now stepping into extending that out to the community in what's called FIT exam. And so, if anybody is interested in a comprehensive assessment, now not necessarily comprehensive like you're doing from an energy standpoint, but I'm talking about, the lab work, checking all of the blood work that we do, thyroid blood tests and liver enzyme and,
the necessary things.
The stuff that is
Yes.
really, from a standard, medical perspective. Included in that is a hearing test and visual test and a pulmonary function test, a bone density test, all of that stuff wrapped
Great.
in. We're doing that kind of stuff. It's called FIT exam.
FIT exam.
So if anybody's interested in that, that's probably the closest place that you're going to get to me outside of the hospital.
That's great.
So-
How do you feel about integrated medicine, Dr. Boric?
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
do you see that?
absolutely.
Do you see that going into the future?
absolutely.
Yes.
There's no way around it.
Right.
I think really, if you look at prescriptions, if you just look at prescriptions and what people are getting from prescriptions and over the counter, the number of people purchasing herbal preparations and those kinds of things are just exponentially higher. And so I think the public is really going to drive that. And there's no doubt that there's a real place in my mind in terms of ministering and taking care of patients for health and healing.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really happy to hear that Arizona as a state, but you as an individual are making sure that it's moving towards a progression in the healthcare system, because I think a lot of people out there want it, and they just don't know how to go about it. They don't have the information or the resources.
Aimee, I can't contain it. It's so much a part of me
Yes.
that I can't. It's just it comes out naturally.
Because you live it.
You live. I mean,
You're
Absolutely.
practicing every single day.
Yeah, I can't put a lid on that, and it's so important.
And you know what? I got to tell you, you really vibe. Like when I say you vibe, like your energy.
She's cool.
Like your energy, you know, it's there. You know that there's this energy about you.
Cool, thank you.
Yes, it's awesome.
And
I really.
and with you as well.
Thank you so much.
It's neat.
Thank you so much.
neat.
And if there's any other listeners out there who are interested in contacting us, please either do it now, because we're going to be wrapping up the show in just a couple of minutes, or you can contact us through how we, our websites and so on. And also, we're going to have this up on the archives at KQCK
Absolutely.
Live.
Right away.
Before we
You
close,
know?
I got to tell you that Dr. Ross at the break showed me how to do the technique. It was amazing.
It's
I mean, it was
And
pretty
how long
cool.
did it take?
It took me like 30 seconds.
yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. That's
So
neat.
if I could give one more website as well.
Please.
Yes.
We are just wrapping up. Every year, this will be our 15th year. We do a Christmas in July there's a homeless shelter out in Tempe called La Mesita. And there is about 12 to 15 chiropractors that all during the month of July have special arrangements for new patients to come in. But if you go to christmasinjuly.cc, it's not .com, but it's christmasinjuly.cc. Probably in about another week, we should have all the doctors that are participating up there that folks could actually go in for a new patient exam at a significantly reduced, and it
Nice.
goes to help charity.
There you go. That's great
Neat.
for the couple.
Fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Awesome. Well, thank you both, doctors, for coming in here on Random Affairs. I had a great time. I really did. And bless you both and your journey of health and medicine and sharing what you do, It's a real blessing to have both of you guys out and about in the health field.
Thanks for having us.
Aeimee, thank you.
Thank you so much. And Joe, thank you for being our wonderful sound guy.
No, thank you.
And thank you, listeners, for joining in. We really appreciate you guys being a part of the show. And soon in July and in June, we're going to have some great shows coming up on Random Affairs. So make sure you keep it on. Next couple of weeks, bi-weekly, I'll be here again.
And don't miss Doc Talk every Wednesday
That's
at 1
right.
o'clock
Oh, yes.
with Dr. Ann Borick and guests. All right. Please pay attention to our sponsors. Enjoy the rest of the evening. And Tom and all you other folks out there that are shooting me messages, thank you for getting interactive with us on the chat there.
Most definitely.
And thank you for all you callers for calling in.
We love callers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mike McCord, better than the rest. Dedicated to the community, with integrity that matters, leadership that counts. I want to be the voice of District Number 2. I want to work for you, the citizens of Santan Valley. Vote for me, Mike McCord, on August 28th, 2012.